friends, it's Jessi here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. For today's video, we are going to be sitting down and looking at the budget for the first week in May. It is the paycheck that my husband receives on May 4th here. I have my little calendar pages pulled out so that I can reference them really easy and keep you guys flipped to my paycheck bill tracker here. If you are not familiar with my channel or my situation, hi, welcome. My name is Jessi. My husband and I are on a journey to pay off all of our credit card debt by the end of 2021, and I sit down every single week and film a budget out the money that my husband receives in his paycheck every Tuesday, figure out how I'm going to get all of our bills paid and pay for all of our expenses and still pay extra towards debt. So this is the first paycheck in May. It's the paycheck my husband receives on May 4th. We budget paycheck to paycheck, not necessarily by month. So it's our first May budget, even though we are already a few days into May, because this is the first amount of income my husband has received in May. We are primarily a single income family. He brings in the bulk of the money while I stay at home and take care of the house and the kids. We have 2 teenage boys. Actually, my oldest son is an adult now. He's 18, still living here at home. And then my youngest son is 13. So that's kind of our roles and the way that we do things. My husband works in the plumbing industry as a sewer and drain cleaner, and he gets paid based on commission. So his paychecks are not consistent. They consistently come in every single Tuesday, but the amount fluctuates a lot. So those are kind of the things we are working with, and we are going to sit down and write out this first paycheck budget together. So I'm going to flip here to my paycheck bill tracker. I use a Happy Planner disc-bound system to hold all of my printables. I have the printable version of the Budget by Paycheck Workbook from the Budget Mom. I print all of my pages full size on 8.5 by 11 paper, just like typical like letter size paper, and it's 28-pound paper, so it's nice and thick, and I punch it using an arc punch to keep it here in my disc-bound system. And this is what I use every week to write out my budgets. So we're going to zoom in a little bit and we're just going to get started with this paycheck budget. So the paycheck date, as we said, is May 4th. I do not disclose my husband's income here on my channel. My husband's not comfortable with sharing that. Plus, I find that when I was disclosing income, I was getting a lot of people focused more on the numbers and less on the actual process, which is what I think is most important. No matter how much money you earn, how much money you bring in, you can still write out a budget. You can still make this budgeting system work for you. So, we're not going to be focusing on how much income we have. We're just going to be talking about the bills and how I allocate the money and the process that I use to do it. So the first section here on this paycheck bill tracker is bills. So in this section, you would write in all of your bills. But in addition to my bills, I also write anything in this section that I'm going to pay with my debit card or my credit card. Essentially anything that's not getting paid in cash, I put in this bills category. That's how I break it down. It really works out well for me. The total that I get for this section is all of the money I need to leave in the bank so that it can be used to pay all of these expenses. So it's all of the bills that I pay, but it's also anything else that I use my debit card. And in my situation, that's also our groceries. So we use the Walmart pickup service for our groceries. It is a phenomenal service, you guys. If you are not using the Walmart pickup service, I highly recommend it because it makes it really easy to go in, purchase the items that you need, and it really helps you to avoid impulse purchases. It helps you to compare prices and get the best deal. When you're shopping with the Walmart grocery app, you get the same prices on everything that you would if you were shopping in store, but you can avoid walking past those cupcakes and impulsively putting them in your cart. You can just stick to your list, shop what you need, and if they don't have something that you ordered, a lot of times they will substitute a product that is a higher value and you get the lower price. So if you order an 8-ounce jar of peanut butter, for example, but they're out of that peanut butter, they might substitute a 16-ounce jar instead, but you still pay the lower price. So it's a great service. Walmart doesn't charge anything extra for their pickup service. You just place your order, you choose a time to pick it up, you go, you pull up, they load your groceries right in your car so you don't have to be in a crowded grocery store. You don't have to take up a ton of time. I highly recommend the grocery pickup. I do have a link down below where you can take $10 off your first order of $50 or more. I'm not affiliated with Walmart. It's not like an extra special code or anything. Everyone that has a Walmart grocery account gets a code to share with their friends and family. I highly recommend that you try it out. Take the $10 off. See if you like it. It's great. I've never had any issues with Walmart pickup. They choose great produce. It's a phenomenal service. So because we use the Walmart grocery pickup though, I can't use cash to pay for that. Obviously, it's an online transaction. So that goes here under bills, and that's how I differentiate it. And I know that that money is going to come out of my checking account. So I typically budget $150 for groceries, but you guys, I've actually already done my grocery shopping and I am way over what I typically spend. Groceries have just gone up a lot recently, and unfortunately I feel like they're going to continue to go up. So, you know, I have 2 very hungry teenage boys trying to keep our family fed, relatively healthy. It's expensive. We spent like $250 in groceries this week. So that's what I'm going to budget. It makes it real easy to budget for it when I already know how much I spent. So $250 towards groceries this week. It's a lot, but you know, we got to eat. So that's our groceries. And now we're going to take a look at my calendar pages here and pull in all of the bills we're going to pay during this pay period. So I made these stickers that I have here in my calendar myself, so you cannot get these. But what I did when I made my stickers is I set up my calendar here to have a Tuesday start. So when you look at a typical calendar, it starts on a Sunday, right? Sometimes a Monday. You never really see a Tuesday start. But I did that because my husband gets paid on Tuesday. Because I use this calendar specifically for budgeting and tracking transactions, it makes sense for the first day of the week to be the first day of my budget. So now when I look at my calendar, this whole row here, which you guys can't see because I'm zoomed too far in, this whole row on this calendar is this pay period. So we get paid on the 4th. We are using this money to get us through the week. So everything that's within this row here is what we're going to pay this week. So the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. That's what we're focusing on this week. We're not worrying about bills that we have to pay next week. We'll take care of that with next week's income. Hopefully that makes sense. So throughout the week when I'm spending money on groceries or gas or eating out, I will use little color coding stickers that I made for myself as well. And I will enter those transactions here on my calendar so I can look at a glance and see where all my money went. And I track my bills in this blue, so that's what we're going to look at today. These are all of the bills we're going to pay this week. It's a lot. They're due at the end of this week, so we need to make sure that we pay them with this month or this week's income. So we're going to start writing those in here now. So I have Disney Plus and Hulu. And if I'm not mistaken, Disney Plus actually just went up a little bit. I think we were budgeting $7 for that, but it's gone up $1, so we're gonna budget $8 for Disney Plus. And for Hulu, we have the version of Hulu that has the ads to make it a little bit more affordable, and that's around $5.99, so we're gonna budget $6 for that. All right, and then on the 10th here, we have HBO Max, which is another streaming service. We have a lot of streaming services. We're big on TV here in my household. And for HBO Max, we are going to budget $16. We pay about $16 a month for that. Then we have Netflix, Boost, and our camper payment. So I'm just going to write those in really quick. And that's actually everything here during this first week that I need to worry about. So we are done with this calendar page. I can go ahead and put that back into my planner here. Just get this out of the way. You guys are looking at my little sinking fund page that I filmed in an earlier video, so you guys can check that out if you are interested in that. But now that I am done with that calendar page, we can go back to my paycheck bill tracker here. For our Netflix bill, we are going to be budgeting $14 for Netflix. Boost is our mobile phone. We are on a family plan, so we have 4 lines for $130, so that's what we are going to budget for that. And lastly, we have my camper payment. We have a camper and we are making payments on it, obviously, or it wouldn't be in here, and that is $200 a month, and since that's due this week, we'll pay for that with this pay period. So that is it for my bill section. I'm going to get a total, so let me pull in my calculator really quickly here. And we're just going to add this up. So we have $250 plus 8 plus 16 plus 16 plus 14 plus 130 plus 200 is $634 in bills this week. So that takes care of my bills section. That's how much I need to leave in my checking account to cover all of our expenses this week. Of course, I also have a bit of a buffer in my account, just in case, you know, one of these bills comes in a little bit higher or something comes up. I definitely don't want to have just $634 in my bank, just in case. So we do have a buffer in there as well. But essentially everything else gets pulled out in cash. Oh, with the exception of any extra debt payments we make, that gets left in the account as well. So moving on though, we're going to talk about cash envelopes, and this is the first category that we pull out in cash. So these are envelopes that I have in my wallet to kind of get us through the week. These are like weekly expenses here. And we're going to start out actually with my husband's spending money. That's not an envelope that I carry. Wouldn't really make sense for me to carry his spending money, right? But at the start of every week, I pull out, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. I pull out $40 for my husband to have for spending money. And he can spend this money on anything that he wants. This gives him the freedom to spend without having to check in with me and see how much money we have or see how much money we have allocated for other things. He has complete control over this $40 to do with whatever he wants. When we started our debt-free journey, he gave me full license to be in control of the money and be in control of the budget. He's very hands-off with the budget. He doesn't want to know how much money the electric bill was this week or how much money we paid for groceries. It's just not his thing. He doesn't care. As long as the bills are paid and he gets his spending money, I can allocate the rest of the money any way that I want. So I give him $40 and that's his to spend. If he gets to, Friday and he spent this $40, then he's done spending until Tuesday rolls around and he gets more spending money. So he came up with this amount. This $40 is what he needed to feel comfortable throughout the week for anything that he needs to pick up. And so that's what we go with. So in addition to his $40, I also get $40 spending money to spend on whatever I want. Next up, we have my oldest son, Robert. Now, Robert is 18. He has a full-time job. He pretty much makes his own money and takes care of himself. If he wants to buy himself a new sweatshirt or something, that comes out of his money. If he wants to go out and grab a burger with a friend, that comes out of his money. He lives at home, he eats the groceries and that sort of thing, but he makes his own money, he's kind of on his own. I do give him $20 a week though, because he drives my youngest son to school, he runs a lot of errands for us, and I just thought it would be nice to help compensate him for the gas that he uses kind of driving back and forth. So I give him $20 a week for that. And my youngest son, Austin, who is 13, gets $20 cash a week for his allowance so that he has spending money. Obviously, he's 13, he's not working, so if he wants to grab a burger with a friend or buy himself a sweatshirt or whatever it is, this allows him to have a little bit of spending money as well. He does extra chores around the house in order to earn that. So that we have to pay for in cash as well, so that goes under envelopes. Next up, we have lawn care. So we pay to have our grass cut every week, and that is also a $20 expense in cash. So that goes here under the cash envelopes. Next up, we have our gas. So gas for our car, so we can do all of our driving back and forth. We budget $40 a week for that. Next, I have eating out. We like to give ourselves some eating out money so we can eat out once a week as a family. And this week we have plans to go and eat at a place that is a little bit more expensive. So for my family of 4, we're going to budget $60 this week for eating out. My son has a track meet and we're going to go to a restaurant after the track meet and have dinner together. So for our family dinner, we're budgeting $60. Sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less, but that's what we're going to do this week. And lastly, I have miscellaneous. And this is cash that I pull out to keep in my wallet as sort of like just in case money. So I'm going to budget $20 for this, and it's going to be just in case something comes up. If we're over budget a little bit in one of these other categories, it's just an extra $20 to have in my wallet should we need it. Anything that comes up will be covered. So that is it for all of my cash envelopes. We'll add this up really quickly. 40 plus 40 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 40 plus 60 plus 20 is $260 that we're going to pull out of the bank to spend throughout the week. And now we're going to move on to sinking funds. So, if you're not familiar with sinking funds are little mini savings accounts. There are expenses that we have throughout the year that we know are coming up that we want to make sure we are prepared for. So what we do is we set a little bit of money aside throughout the year for those things. Things like Christmas, things like our Amazon Prime membership that we pay for once a year. Rather than waiting for those things to come up and then scrambling and having to pull a large amount of money out of our weekly budget, we just set aside a little bit of money here and there so that we have that money when those things come up. We're not adding a ton of money to sinking funds this week. Right now, we are still focusing mostly on paying off our Lowe's card. Once our Lowe's card is paid off, which, spoiler alert, we should be able to pay off our Lowe's card this week, we're going to shift gears a little bit and focus less on paying off debt for a few weeks and more on bulking up our sinking funds. Because if you watched my sinking fund video, you will know that some of our sinking funds have no money in them. We've really let them get too low because we were focused more on that debt. So we're going to focus more on sinking funds in the coming weeks. For now, we are just going to add $40 to my husband's sinking fund. He has a sinking fund where he saves money, or rather I save money for him. He's saving up for some sort of equipment for his job that he wants to have. It's a want, not necessarily a need, but we're adding a little bit of money here and there so that we can save up to make that big purchase. And that's it for our sinking funds this week. Not a lot, but like I said, we will be focusing more on sinking funds in the coming weeks. So just $40 into sinking funds. Next up, we have extra debt. And as I said, we should be able to pay off our Lowe's card. Typically what I do is I have a debt snowball payment. We've been paying $233 every single week towards the debt we're currently working on, which is our Lowe's card, plus anything extra that we can come up with. I've been doing some fun debt payoff challenges to come up with extra money to pay towards this card. We're actually not going to do that this week though. The debt snowball payment we typically make, like I said, is $233, and that card has $300 left on it. That's all we need to pay off that card. So rather than playing the games and coming up with it, I'm just going to budget that. That kind of was my first thing that I pulled off the top of this paycheck, and we are going to pay $300 to our Lowe's card and get that bad boy paid off. So we started out with 16 credit cards. I think it was 16 credit cards. We are, once I make this payment, down to just 2 cards left with balances on them. And we are going to be focusing on those cards moving forward, but we're going to take a little bit of a break and stop aggressively paying to those cards just for a couple of weeks until we can get our sinking funds brought back up, and we're going to focus on a few other goals just for a really short time, and then we're going to go back to full force paying lots of extra money to our debt. But for this week, we're just going to pay $300 to Lowe's and get that bad boy paid off, which is exciting. So that's an extra $300 to our debt. And lastly, here is extra savings. So if you had a emergency fund you were saving for, or if you had just like rainy day savings you were saving for, you would put that in here. We don't have those things. Like I said, we've really been focused on paying off our debt, so we haven't been focusing on savings outside of like our sinking funds. But the one thing I do write in here in extra savings is our rollover amount. So I mentioned at the start of this video that my husband is paid based on commission and his paychecks are inconsistent because of that. So the way that we combat that is we roll money over from week to week. So this week my husband's paycheck might be, pretty decent amount on the higher end. But next week work could be slow and he might bring in a super low paycheck. We still have bills we have to pay every week. So rather than spend every dime we have out of this paycheck, we keep a little bit back to hold on to in case next week is a lower pay period. So I don't write in how much we're going to roll over. I just kind of keep that number to myself, but we are going to take a portion of this paycheck that my husband earned this week and roll it over to next week, just so that we know that our bills are covered should he have a shorter week. That's one of the ways that we combat our inconsistent income. So that amount will go here under this extra savings category, and that will be money that at the end of the week, when all of our bills are paid out of our checking account and our extra debt payments are made, that will be the amount of money that is kind of left in our bank to roll over into next week. Everything else will be spent. So that is a look at my budget for the first paycheck in May, paycheck number 1. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely be on the lookout for my cash envelope stuffing video coming up next. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a good week, and I think it's going to be a great month of May. Thanks so much. I will see you guys in my next video.